Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about how to create your own sound. Now, this is a really important step in your journey as a music producer. And the reason for that is simple. Just ask this question to yourself. Do you want to be another one, or do you want to be unique? So in order to develop your own sound or style, you need experience and time. But even though you need experience and time, it all starts at the beginning. Because especially at the beginning, your music is going to be highly influenced by your favorite artist. Let's put an example, okay? So let's imagine that you like the drums of a specific artist. So you are going to try to replicate these drums. But then you also like the bass line of a different artist, and also the type of sounds that a different artist use. So you are going to try to replicate all of these elements from a different artist. You are going to combine these elements and create your own sound or style. Now, the way how you develop your own style or sound is something that happens with time and experience naturally, okay? Now, in order to help you speed up a little bit this process and start from the beginning, I'm gonna give you 4 different steps. So let's start with the first step, the drums. Okay, so in terms of drums, my first recommendation is to create your own sample pack. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to create all of these drums from scratch. What I mean is that you can have a look across all of your favorites libraries and pick up the drums that you like the most, like kick drums, clap and snare, cymbals, percussion, etc. Now, you can also combine all of these drums and create a unique drums. For example, you can create a snare out of 3 or 4 different snares. And you can also be weird and create a snare out of a snare, percussion, and cymbals. So once you have all of these sounds created, simply add it to your own sample pack. And you can also do the same with the drum loops. You can create your own cymbals loops, percussion, etc. Now, this is all about the sound of the drums, but it's also really important the way how you program these drums, the rhythm, swing, the feels that you add, etc. Okay, so now that we cover the drums, let's have a look to the next step, the music elements. Now, the music elements are similar as the drums. My first recommendation is that you create your own sounds, especially using a synthesizer. Now, if you don't know how to use a synthesizer, I have a dedicated video about this topic, a beginner's guide for synthesizer. On this tutorial, you are going to learn the main section of a synthesizer, and it's going to help you understand any type of synthesizer in order to create your own sounds and to modify presets. I'm going to leave the link of this video on the description below. Okay, so once you learn how to use a synthesizer, you can create your own sounds. Now, you can of course use presets, but I think that is a little bit harder to develop your own sounds out of presets, because everyone have access to these presets. Now, same as with the drums, it's also really important the way how you program your sounds on a synthesizer. The rhythm, how you develop a certain sound across a specific track, etc. And there is multiple ways to do that. One of the most common ways to develop a sound on a track is using automation, where you can control different parameters, an LFO, how you open and close the filter, etc. Okay, so now that we cover the drums and the instruments, let's have a look to the third step, a unique sound or technique. Okay, so now that you have your unique sounds in terms of drums and instrument, it doesn't mean that you have to use these sounds over and over again across all of your production. Otherwise, your music is gonna end up sounding repetitive. Now, in order to avoid that, of course, you can use your favorite and unique sounds, but always try to add something different. Like, for example, a layer, or you can add a texture to make all of these sounds to sound slightly different from one track to another. Now, in terms of the unique technique, I'm gonna put as an example Jax Jones. Now, Jax Jones is a well-known producer, and he always uses a sample on his tracks, which says "puch-puch-come-do." Okay, so he always uses this sample at the beginning of his tracks, which means that just right at the beginning, you already know that this track is from Jax Jones. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to apply the same technique. What you can do is to use this technique in a different way. You can use, instead of a sample, an effect or a specific sound. And you can put this effect or sound always in a specific part of your track, which will help the listener to identify that this track is yours. Okay, so now we cover the drums, the music elements, a unique sound or technique. Now let's have a look to the fourth step, mixing techniques. Okay, so for this step, I'm not talking about the mixing overall. It's more about your unique mixing techniques. Now, I also have a dedicated video talking about this topic on my channel, which I'm gonna leave the link of the video on the description below. Now, on this video, I share my essential mixing techniques, which means that I have different mixing techniques that I will apply depending of the track. But I also have a different essential mixing techniques that I always use independently of the track that I'm working on. Now, some of these essential mixing techniques are pretty common, but others I think that are pretty unique and also helps to develop my own sound or style. So again, at the beginning, you might not have a unique mixing technique. That's something that you are going to learn over time. So if you combine all of these 4 different steps, a unique drums, a unique music elements, a unique sound or technique, and a unique mixing techniques, then you are going to have your own style and sound. Okay, so now that we cover these 4 different steps, my recommendation is to don't get obsessed trying to develop your own sound. Simply follow these steps little by little, and then after some times and experience, you are gonna develop your own sound and styles naturally. So that's all for me. Hope you like and learn something from this video. If you have any question, please leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching. My name is JonHut, and I will see you in the next one.